Boker Tov, good morning. Today is Friday, August 6th, Erev Shabbat Parshat Re'eh. Here in Parshat Re'eh, amongst the many things that the Parsha deals with, it deals with the obligation to lend money to the poor as a way in which you show support for them, which clearly is shifted in the minds of Chazal to not just being about lending money, but about giving charitably to the poor. And so the rest of the Torah's discussion will be framed in that way. And the Torah says the following: first, lo you have to open. You most certainly must open your hand to him, and you have to lend him whatever he needs to have lent to him. Lo the Torah said earlier that you should not clench your fist. Right to pull it away. And the Torah goes on to say, Ki lo yachdal evyon mikerev haaretz, because the poor will never cease from the midst of the land. That's why I command you to open your hand, certainly open your hand. Patoch tiftach, the double command. You most certainly must open your hand to your brother, to the poor, to your poor person, and the person who is downtrodden in your land. What do we make of that verse? It's a very strange commandment. If the Torah would have said, "I command you to give lovingly to one another, in order that we can wipe out poverty from the face of the earth," that would have made sense, right? I demand that you open up your hand. You must open your hand so that we can ensure that nobody is poor. And that's clearly the Torah wants to help ensure that nobody is poor. Yet at the same time, God says, Ki lo yichdal avyon mikerev haaretz, that the poverty and the poor will never cease from the land. On the one hand, it's because God recognizes that we're never going to measure up, and we're never going to manage on our own to wipe out the blight of poverty in this world. We're just never going to step up as we should. Here, though, I want to share with you the Midrash. It's a Midrash in Mishpatim, and this is what it says. It's a conversation, it's a twist on a verse in Tehillim. The Torah there in Mishpatim talks about Kesef Talvet Tamid, the obligation once more to lend to one another. Amar David Lifnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu. David said before God, Ribon ha'olam, Yeshev olam Lifnei Elohim, right? That may dwell in God's presence forever. Twisting it, not Yeshev olam, but rather to Yeshev olam b'shaveh. Why don't you even out your world? Wouldn't that be a good idea? Why can't you make it that everybody has what they need? That's the way it should be. Ha'ashirim v'aniyim, the rich and the poor will all have the same amount, but it'll be enough for everybody. You should do that from on high, David says. Amar lo, so God says, in Cain, if so, the rest of the pasuk in Tehillim 61:8, Chesed ve'emet min yinatzruhu, which the verse means that you should point steadfast love to guard him. But here the reading is, what will happen of Chesed ve'emet, of people doing true acts of loving kindness, if I make sure that there are no poor people, that everybody has what they need, there'll be no chesed going on. And you scratch, who's going to be able to do it? And you scratch your head and you say, what does that mean? It would be great if we don't have to do chesed at all. Isn't that a perfect world where chesed isn't needed? So here I'll share with you a teaching that I saw in the name of Rabbi Yerucham Lubavitz of the Mir. And he read this midrash to be teaching that a world that is devoid of opportunities to show kindness, to other people, that's inconceivable for God. Because compassion is the purpose of the world. And so that God sets the world up so there'll be people who will always be needy of receiving from others. Now, that doesn't mean that God wants people to suffer, but God wants the system to be such that it's not that He evens things out, but that people are there to help lift people that need to be lifted, and so the goal's accomplished. What's the goal? The double goal. One goal is that that the poor aren't poor, or the poor have their needs met, and the other is that this be a world which is filled with chesed, and that you be a chesed doer. That you be a chesed doer. And so when God says, Patoch tiftach et yadecha lo, I want you to make sure that you open up your hand to this person. Don't close your fist. Open up your hand, because that's what it means to be a human being. That's the greatest calling of being a human, and a Jew in this case, to be not just to be generous, yes, but to know that I want to give to someone else. I want to share with someone else. I want to do chesed as an essential part of my quality. And it would not be good enough. If we're all poor or all rich, we then lose that. Of course, the reality is that we'll have other ways to do chesed probably in those situations too. So the goal isn't merely to solve the problem, which is what God does not want it to be solved. I want to make sure that people become and continue to be compassionate, caring, loving, doing people. That's your call. That's my call. That's our call. To be Anshe Chesed. To be people of compassion and caring. That's what God wants from the world, and that's what God wants from us. May we continue to hear other people's call, and to heed the call and need that's out there, to rise to our calling as people of God who are Anshe Chesed. Let this be a day and a Shabbos and a period that has to begin Chodesh Elul leading up to Rosh Hashanah, where that is once more an essential part of who we are. Wishing you a Shabbat Shalom. Have a very beautiful Shabbos and a meaningful Rosh Chodesh ahead.